episode 139, IRONMAN Mont Tremblant with Fran DeAnglis. Welcome to the pursuit of the perfect race. I'm Coach Terry Wilson, and with each episode, I bring stories of athletes to you that share their experiences at races in order for you to learn how to have your perfect race. We will hear stories from athletes of all ages, abilities, and races of all distances. So regardless of where you fit in, there's something in it for you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now let the pursuit begin. She's been doing Tremblant just a few years now, and it's been a proud member of the Marathon Maniacs for 4 years. This race took place on August 17th, 2018, with the Crucial race day starting off at 61 and rising to 81 degrees. The swim was delayed by fog for an hour and 15-minute increments, and the water temperature was around 71.4 degrees. Welcome to the show, Fran. I look forward to hearing about your race experience at IRONMAN Mont Tremblant.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
You're welcome. I'm glad to have you on. I feel like I go way back, and I'm really excited to actually talk with you about your first IRONMAN experience.
Yeah, I'm honored. I'm really excited. When you hit me up to do this, do you remember I said to you, I'm honored and I hope to accept. And yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So what made you do this race in the first place?
I did some sprint tries years ago, and it's always been a bucket list item. I mean, my kids always tell me I have a never-ending wish list, and I'm always on to the next goal, always on to something. And I've always had in the back of my mind, I've done some sprint tries leading up to it, and then I was kind of challenged to do a half Ironman last year, and I bit the bullet, and I said, you know what, I keep saying it, and, it's never going to happen. So I bit the bullet, and I hired a swim coach because that's my weakness. I hired a swim coach to help me swim, and just started training, just went for it. And the training was amazing. I felt the best I've ever felt, and the race itself was great. When I crossed the finish line, I said to my family, that was crazy. I can't imagine doing that twice, doing double that. I'll never do that. Well, less than 6 weeks later, I changed my mind quickly. Once I felt better, once I recovered, I changed my mind very quickly. And it was still always in my mind. And a friend of mine said, hey, Mont Tremblant, you could register, and if you can't make it, you can defer until 2019. And I'm like, you know what? Hey, I'm just going to do it. I went ahead and registered, and didn't tell my husband, which is not normal, which is not unusual rather for me, because I do things like that. And then I hit him up. I said, by the way, I'm registered for an Ironman. He's like, he says, he didn't say that. He said, I'm not surprised. He said, what do you need to make it happen? So that's exactly what he said. And,
wow.
And he wasn't surprised. He didn't even blink. And I'm like, he just knows me so well. And, he said, what do you need? And, I said, well, I'm going to need, some support with my training, and I'm going to need to hire a tri coach. So that was it. And once I knew he was 110% behind me, I knew that the rest was up to me,
Wow. So in between Atlantic City, that's what you did, right?
I did City in last September. And then, and then I did 10-man half Ironman June, this past June. It's training, obviously. Yeah.
So in between Atlantic City and Mont Tremblant, how was your training?
Well, I took a break off for the holidays, of course, and I ran a couple of marathons because I am a marathon maniac. So I ran a few marathons. I think I ran 3 marathons after Atlantic City. Took a little break from tri training, and then started up again January. And just started with, as hard as it is here in New York, it's like, 30 degrees outside. I'd wake up at 4 a.m. and go to the pool and swim, and it's freezing. You want to stay in bed, but I get into that water. I was in the water 4:30 some mornings, and, I would swim before work, just whatever I had to do to get it done, and started working with a great coach who is herself a 7-time Kona finisher. age group winner. She's fabulous. She's local, actually, and she works with me. Started working with her, training on hills because I knew Mont Tremblant was hilly. And she taught me how to efficiently ride hills, which I didn't know. I mean, it's not as easy as you think, as far as gears, She taught me how to efficiently ride hills, how to sit and how to shift gears. And, so that was huge for me, and where to ride, and as much as I hated the hills, hated them, I just kept going and kept going. I mean, it's just, I knew it wasn't going to get easier, but I knew that I was going to get stronger, and I just kept going. And the run, I love the run. I'm in euphoria when I run. So, that was easy for me. But it was the other two that I really had to work hard on. And I did. I worked 6 days a week, long days, between work and training. But I knew what I wanted, and I knew my coach told me from the beginning, it's going to be work. And I said, I'm ready. I'm ready to work. I'm not afraid to work. Her name is Barbara Cronin, hyphenated, Cronin Stagnari. And she herself, she's amazing. She's, like I said, not only is she local, but she is a 7-time Kona finisher. She's completed 22 IRONMAN. Yeah, she's amazing. I think she just finished her 7th Lake Placid last month herself. So she is, she's very knowledgeable, very supportive, incredibly supportive. I loved working with her. She was always available when I needed her. We would meet at the pool to swim. We would train, on the hills, on the bike. We would run together. And just that, support, physical support. I know there's various types of trainers, but I am, very more of a hands-on visual person. I needed that. Someone that was available, and she always was. She was great, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky to know her. We've been friends for years, and it was just by accident that she mentioned to me last year, "Hey, if you ever want to do an Ironman, hit me up." I'm like, "Oh, I'm never going to do that." I said to her, "Never going to do that." And then when I decided to do Mont Tremblant, I texted her, and she said, "Call me right now." And the first thing she said to me was, "Tell me about Atlantic City. Tell me about your nutrition. Tell me about how you did, tell me how you felt." She wanted to know exactly how my race went. And to me, that was like key. It wasn't like, "Oh yeah, hey, you want to race?" So once she got all the information from me, then she said, "Okay, here's what we need to know. Here's what we know. We know you need to work on your swim. You need to work on hills. And the run, obviously, you've got that down." She says, "You're a 40-plus time marathoner." She says, "You're fine with that." So, the fact that, like I said, she was able to clearly listen and analyze and go from there. And she said, "Yeah, let's do it. If you're willing to work, then let's do it."
Going into Mont Tremblant, what was your longest bike and run record?
My longest, 6 weeks ago, on a long ride, I had a bad bike accident where I hydroplaned across a slick road. I ended up... I'm going to abbreviate the story, but I ended up in the ER with a lot of cuts, road rash, and bruised ribs. So I kind of had to scale back a little bit at that point, which was really scary. But I had enough of a base. My coach had given me enough of a base that I felt very strong. I had to take 2 weeks off rather from the ribs because I couldn't even breathe. Like, it was so painful. So, once I was able to come back, believe it or not, my next ride was 100-miler. So I went out and I was able to do the 100-miler. That wasn't my longest ride, though. My longest ride after that was 110. So overall, I did 200s, 80 at 200s, and a 110. Sorry. My long and we had discussed it when I saw her in TP. I said, "Is this right?" And she said, "Well, let's do week by week and see how you feel." So I was fortunate that I felt strong enough. I had enough of a base that I was able to go back into the 100 even after the injury, which was very lucky. The longest swim was 2.7 miles, and the reason why I'm telling you the story about the accident was because of the bruised ribs, I had so much intense pain that I could not really run. I was able to ride the bike. I couldn't really run for a couple of weeks because just the running hurt so much and the breathing. So my longest run, if you can believe this, was 15 miles. 15 miles. Yeah. That was my longest run. So I know as a marathoner, I knew that would be okay. You're better off to be undertrained than overtrained and injured, getting to the start line, and especially risking the injury that I had. So I knew I was okay. She knew I was okay with that. It was really the rise in the swim. So yeah. So.
Now, what workouts did you do that gave you the confidence to go into Mont prepared?
Hands down, the hills. Every single ride was hilly. There was never flat. There were some intervals in there sprinkled, but they were all hilly, one after the other. Hill repeats. We have this popular area here called Sunil Westbury where everybody goes to train, and just, my workout was do 6 hill repeats. I'm like, shoot me, but that, like, again, that's just, I know it made me stronger over and over and over again. As far as that, swimming is not my strength. And as you can tell from my Mont Tremblant experience, that didn't end well for other reasons, but it's not my strength. But my best workouts were, I live right on the water here in Long Island, just swimming locally in my bay. We have a great swim group that would meet at 6 a.m. and I would just wake up and go swim with them down the block. And those are some of the best workouts. All of these people were crazy fast, and I tried to keep up with them. So that was a challenge for me, but nonetheless, they were so supportive, which is great. So my best.
So what was the most hours that you trained in a week on your Mont?
I'd have to look at TP. I want to say 22, 23. Yeah, I want to say somewhere in that, maybe just 22, but it was well over 20. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah, that was probably peak week, yeah.
Okay. You also work in Untitled.
Yeah, yeah. Yes.
And you have kids.
Yep.
And you need about 50-ish hours of sleep a week.
Yeah.
How do you balance life, work, training, husband, family time, all of this? How do you balance that?
I'm fortunate that I only have one child at home now. The other two are in college, and he's older, so it's fortunately he's pretty self-sufficient. But yeah, work-wise, my job is so accommodating. Lululemon is a great company to work for. They support your goals 100%, and they knew of my goal. They supported me by I cut back my hours a bit to train more, which is what I need. And a lot of my coworkers supported me. If I needed any time off in any capacity. And I took a lot of naps at work when I could because I was so tired. But years ago when I had said, I don't have time, I always want to train for an Ironman, but I don't have time. Well, I realized that we all have the same amount of time. It's how you prioritize your time. And again, waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and getting your workouts done and then going to work and then getting to bed early. It's not what everybody wants, but, you can make it work, so, and yeah, my days were very long and I was very exhausted and very cranky some days. And how that goes, but yeah, I just prioritized my time, as best as I could. And my family was so supportive. I'm fortunate that they're supportive. As you have to sacrifice, family events or social events sometimes. And, like, hey, can you plan that event around my training schedule? That type of thing. So, family is very supportive. I'm lucky. I'm really grateful for that. I really am. And, it's a big undertaking for them and very patient. They're very patient with me. Cause yeah, I was fun the past 8 months cause I probably had a lot of tension. I was very anxious. I think the best word is anxious. My husband said I was just so anxious all the time. I was focused on training. What am I doing tomorrow? And what am I doing next week in my work schedule? And how am I going to get this right? And where am I going to get this right? And what time frame? And just anxious.
You make it seem like even though you've done marathons before, how you've even done the time death right?
Yeah.
This race, it seems like it scared you.
It did. It really did. It really, really did. Yeah. From the start, it scared me. And my oldest son was in Mont Tremblant with us for the Ironman. And he took pictures of me at the swim. And we had the hour delay, as you know. And I was like a deer in headlights. I just was like expressionless, no expression. just out of body. I can't really explain how I was, but I was scared. I was really, really scared. And, you remind yourself, the work you've done to get there, but it's scary. So yes, marathoning, I've done 40 plus. I put one foot in front of the other over and over again, but this is a whole different beast, and you have to respect it overall. The distance and the swim and the bike and the run, it's a whole different beast. So it's scary. Yeah.
So what did your taper look like going into Mont? Did you have a traditional 3-week taper, 2-week taper? Did you have the injury? How does all this work for you?
Right. The injury, I had a little bit of a shorter taper. And yeah, it was just a little bit, it was like 2 weeks, about a solid 2-week taper. I did my last 110 miler, and then that was it. And then my long run of 15 miles. So yeah, but it felt fine. I felt, I was happy to be pain-free finally, because I had severe pain from the ribs. So I was just happy to be pain-free, and I felt that I worked hard enough, and that's it.
Is this the first time that you've really tapered for a race in a while? Because, you've kind of come to where you can do a marathon, it's...
Yeah.
It's a marathon, okay.
Yeah. Well, technically I'm tapering again because I have a marathon in 4 weeks. So, yes, I'm tapering again, technically. I'm going to do another long run the next couple of weeks, and then I'm tapering again. So, first time I officially tapered, and it was more of a mental mind mess, if you will, because, again, each single discipline, just focusing on the work I've done, and the last week is just the final craziness in the time frames, thinking about making each cutoff and thinking about transition and, thinking about the overall. And that probably played in my mind over and over and over again. I was probably lunatic, but, yeah, it's a lot. It's intense. It really is. So, and I always visualize, say when I run a marathon, once I train and I'm ready, I'm in, my taper mode, I always visualize that finish line. I visualize it because I know I've worked towards it. And here, there's 3 finish lines, so I've got to visualize the swim and the bike and the run and I just visualize how I'm going to feel at each one. And I knew when I got off that bike, that was it. Like I felt great. That's, for me, that's when I know I'm comfortable in my comfort zone, when I'm on my 2 feet.
Swim isn't necessarily an easier swim. You could easily pick Chattanooga with less hills. You could have Chattanooga with an easier swim, downriver swim, which would have played in your favor. And the run is challenging, which would have played in your favor again. So Mont is a very mountainous bike course. The swim is not a downriver swim like Lago or Chattanooga. Why Mont? Did you even think of thinking this from a strategic standpoint, or just say, it's close, let's do that one?
It's not even close. It's a long drive. It's a long drive. And in fact, when I had the accident, I thought for a bit that I would not be able to make it to the start line. And I had a discussion with my coach about it. I was very upset. And she said, well, you can just defer and do Maryland. And I'm like, I don't want to do Maryland. There's several reasons. I've heard about situations in Maryland where the swim is canceled and whatnot. And also it's another 2 months. And it felt like I couldn't train for another 2 months at this point, even recover. I said, I'm going to try to get to Mont Tremblant or not. But that said, Mont Tremblant, I have friends who have done it. And they have told me what a spectacular venue it is. And, I've read reviews on it and other people who have told me that it's not as hilly as Placid. It's hilly, but it's not as bad as Placid. It's definitely a lot easier than Placid. And the overall venue in general, and good friend Wendy had suggested it too, because she wanted to do it as her first, the one who suggested. But I had looked into it and I thought, as a destination, it would be fabulous. Just, the whole family can go. I envisioned the whole thing around. And it's exactly as it happened. The whole family can go and I can become an Ironman. Yeah, well, that worked out.
Right. So when did you actually start traveling up to Mont Tremblant? Did you look at an Airbnb hotel when you got there? What goes down?
Yeah. So we drove up Thursday. I got it's called the Elysium Suites. It's the whole complex that's surrounding the Finnish area, that ski resort area. The Elysium Suites. We got a 3-bedroom condo. And it was really absolutely beautiful. It was huge for for my husband, my daughter, my son, my other son and his wife. It was huge. There was plenty of room. And the morning of the race, they had gondola rides starting at 4:30 in the morning, straight from the condo down to the village. So, and they were all day long. So 5 o'clock, I got on that gondola, headed down to the village, and my family was able to come and go all day long. It was a beautiful location. It was perfect. It was really perfect for us to be. So yeah, that worked out really well. We had our own space. I had my own space. It wasn't too close to the village, but we were still able to get to the village when we needed to.
You've checked into many marathons before, big marathons, New York City, Marine Corps, I think you did about Chicago. Right?
Yeah.
So you've done these big stellar races, you've done the Rock and Roll Series races, you've done small races, big races, but
Right.
you didn't have the nerves that you had going into this race where the race literally scared you. How was the check-in process for Ironman for you?
Check into to get the band.
Yeah, to get all the
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I Terry, I was so scared. I can't, and a good friend of mine said I was acting very oddly. You know, you walk in and, you know, you go in by yourself and, you know, you fill out the waiver and the insurance information and you get weighed and then you go get the bracelet and I was kind of fidgeting with my bracelet and I said to the guy, no, put it on loose or no, put it on tight. And my friend's like, what's wrong with you? Like, I don't know. Like, I couldn't even focus. And he gives me my stuff. And I'm like, well, is everything there? And all it is one little envelope. And I'm like, that's it. It's all in there. Everything's in there. And I tried so hard to absorb that whole thing, but I was out of body, and it's so bizarre. And my friend even took a picture of me, and I just was like, don't take a picture of me. I really was out of body for that whole experience. I walked out of there. I'm like, okay, I got my stuff. No turning back. I wish that I really had absorbed. I don't really know what else. I just walked in, walked out. Well, the only good thing is that walking out, I ran into a gentleman who, it was his 28th Ironman, and he was like in his 50s, and I'm like, wow. I'm like, this guy can do it 28 times. I can do it once. You know what I mean? That's my thinking. I'm like, you know, God willing. So, yeah, the expo wasn't, or the pickup wasn't really a great experience for me because I just was so out of body. I don't know.
You go back, you put all the stickers on your bike, on your bags, you get everything laid out, then you bring your bike down to check your bike in the day before the race.
Yeah.
What was this process for you to actually drop your bike off? Were you there? Were you present?
I was. And the reason why was because we had a lot of athletes from Long Island there. And as I was walking in, I was running into all of them and just being greeted by them. And I started to feel a lot more comfortable, a lot safer, you know, and, you know, everyone was very supportive, you know, and with their little tidbits of support, you know, just take, you know, just do this at a time, do this and that, you know, everyone had a little bit of support some way, somehow. So I felt a lot better. I definitely felt more comfortable when I dropped off my bike, and, you know, we all met together for group pictures. And then that night they have, you know, they have the band playing and the fireworks, which is fun. And so I was a lot more relaxed at that point because I'm like, well, you know what, it's time to just, you know, one thing someone had said to me was just enjoy the day, you know, and I'm like, you know what, it's just time to do that. Just enjoy the day. It's here. It's here. This is what I've been working for. So I was more comfortable the day before.
As far as it from a nutrition plan, what kind of nutrition were you going to get the day before the race?
I just loaded up on just a lot of carbs. I loaded up a lot because I knew I'd have to deficit, obviously, the day off. And not going to be able to eat like I normally do. So, I mean, nothing, you know, nothing crazy, nothing bad. Oh, I had ice cream. But other than that, my normal food that I eat, you know, I mean, I'm not really, I don't eat like junk food, like eggs and eggs and avocados and tomatoes. I try to eat a lot of vegetables, mix that all in, a lot of spinach. I just try to eat more nutrient-rich food because I am anemic as well, so make sure that I get the iron in my supply. I take a lot of vitamins, just a lot of nutrient-rich food. That's really it. You know, protein, vegetables. You know, just nothing crazy. You know. people eat like tacos the day before. I don't know.
Okay. Now, you're going to bed the night before the race. What time are you aiming to get in bed and go to sleep?
I was aiming for 8 p.m.
And what actually happened?
Yeah, I got in bed about 8:30. About 8:30. Yeah, we had early dinner. I told my family we had to eat dinner early. They can do what they want. But I ate dinner early. I had my dinner. I had a glass of wine with dinner because that's kind of my ritual for every marathon. And I'm like, well, it just kind of calms me. So I had a glass of wine, had my dinner. The family went out for ice cream, and because it's kind of, they know, and I just went to sleep. And so I was fine. And I was tired, and I was fine. I had a really good night's sleep. I had a great night.
So you wake up at what time on race day?
I woke up at 4:15 a.m. 4:15 a.m. Yeah.
Your pre-ritual night before you leave your condo.
Well, coffee. Coffee. Right up top. Get coffee. Yeah, get things going. I had my coffee, and then I made my breakfast. I had peanut butter, banana toast with cinnamon. I made it. I had made it to take with me to eat because it's very early, obviously, not till 7 a.m. start. And then I did eat a banana as well. And then just, make sure I have everything. That's pretty much it. Didn't eat right off the bat. That's pretty much it. And then my husband came with me. Just make sure I had, you become OCD, you double check and, do I have everything? Oh, wait, everything's already there. Just make sure you bring your special needs bags and all that good stuff, even though I checked them about 50 dozen times, check them again, make sure they're all there. Yeah, and that's it. Just head down to the store. I mean, I'm pretty organized as it is, which is crazy. I usually have everything. So everything was ready to go, and I just checked it again, make sure I'm good, and went. Try to minimize as much stress as you can, because otherwise, if you're like, rushing around, where's this, where's that, it's just more anxiety,
Right.
know?
So with all of your bags that you have, are you changing in each transition tent, or are you wanting to have a certain thing that you're running all day long? What is your season like for your race?
Right. This is what's important in training, as you know. I did what works for me in training, and everyone's different. But for the swim, I just wore a pair of shorts, like just fitted shorts and a sports bra. And as soon as I came out of the swim, I went immediately changed into bike shorts that work for me and my bike top. And then from the bike to the run, full shorts. I need my running shorts, Lululemon, of course. I need my running shorts and my top, and that's it. I mean, this is what works for me. I'm not an elite athlete. To stay in the same outfit, to not be comfortable. I know what works for me, and that's why when people say, "Well, what should I wear?" Well, it's not what you should wear; it's what works for you. And again, that minimizes the stress if you know what works for you and you go with it. Because then if you start second guessing, then you get crazy.
So what were you putting in your special needs bags?
For my bike special needs bag, I had, of course, a concentrated version of my UCAN. I had 2 bottles of it in my bike special needs, and that's all I had. When I came from swim to bike, and I put my bike shirt on, it has the big pockets. I had everything stuffed in my pockets already. So I didn't need to fuss with anything. I had bananas, I had peanut butter and jelly, I had my gels, I had everything in my pockets already. I had all my gels on my bike. So I didn't need anything. I had everything on me. I didn't need anything else. And then special needs was just two bottles of UCAN, 2 like 16-ounce bottles of UCAN. That was it. And then my run special needs, I had one thing in it. I had a small baggie with Swedish fish and mini golden Oreos. That was it. Because I had hydrated enough on the bike. I had enough nutrition on the bike. I knew I was going to be okay with that. And I was perfectly fine with that. In fact, I didn't even finish it. So I know that's not for everybody, but that works for me.
Right. The nutrition is just a different base now.
Right.
You actually transition your tires up to 100, 110 every year, and you're getting everything set. After you leave your bike and get done with that, and you get down to the swim start, what's your mindset like? You talked about this a little bit ago.
At that point, I was really trying to soak it in. I was trying to soak in the surroundings, and and I'm psyching myself out. you are, you're doing this swim in Mont, Lake Tremblant, and, what an opportunity. Just trying to like psych myself out, and just try to like, just visualize, it's hard to see the swim there because you actually go around this island. So you can't see, and it's foggy. So you really can't see it. But just trying to focus on, my training, where I have trained, and, just trying to focus on enjoying the swim, because I'm not definitely my strongest point, but I do enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. And just trying to like soak it in and just think about getting past the swim and getting on that bike, because just getting on to the next discipline. That's really it.
Now, where did you see yourself in this rolling start?
You know what? I was going to go in, my goal was 140, 150. And I guess I ended up, they started late, and I was kind of hanging back with my family. I was dragging a little bit. And I ended up going to the back of the swim start. Not so far back, but pretty far back. So, and I lost track of what the seating was because they were moving already. So I don't even really know, to be honest. I don't know. It was 140, 150. But that didn't happen, obviously.
Now, being that this was delayed by an hour and 15-minute increments, 4 delays basically.
Yeah.
How did this impact your anxiety?
Oh, I thought they were going to cancel the swim. I really thought they were going to cancel it.
How would that have impacted you emotionally?
Well, it's just, I mean, as much as, again, I don't love the swim. It's not my favorite. I mean, I like it, but I don't, it's not my best discipline. I mean, that's what I trained for, to get all 3 done. So it would have been devastating. It still would have went on, but it still would have been devastating. I mean, you want to get done what you went there to accomplish, so, and I had talked to, a local Long Island athlete, actually, at the swim 2 days before, at the practice swim, who said she had done Maryland 2 years ago, and they cut the swim, and she's like, well, it's my first official try, so I thought about her, and I'm like, oh God, please don't cancel the swim. Please let all of us get through this. So yeah, that was like my biggest fear, is not getting through that. I mean, I knew I was going to get out of the water, it's just not getting, my fear was not being able to do it. That's when it's exciting. That's when it's like, you hear the cannons, and, even though they're loud, they're blaring. That's when like my heart started racing. I'm like, okay, let's go. Like that was kind of like, and I have a good friend who said to me, I said, I was, days before, I'm like, I'm scared. I'm so scared. And he's like, it's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's normal to be scared. He's like, but when you get to the start line, there's no more room for fear. There's no more room for fear. And as soon as I start to step in the water, I'm like, that's it. There's no more room for fear. This is it, so yeah, so that was a good feeling. And I knew at that point I had to get it done.
Wow. So you get the water. How does the swim go for you?
The swim did not go well for me. I guess, again, I was seated towards the back by accident. Not a big deal, but my goal was 140, 150. And my coach and I knew it's not really my strength, the swim. And again, because of the injury, the swimming, I kind of had to hold back for a couple of weeks because I didn't have the range of motion in my arms from the ribs. But regardless, the swim didn't go well. I couldn't really see at first. And when I finally could see, when I turned the halfway point, when I finally could see, when the fog was really lifting and the sun was coming out, there were a lot of kayakers, and the kayakers were actually blocking the buoys. And at one point, there's a kayaker next to me, and I had to stop, and I said, where's the next buoy? And she said, it's right there. And I said, where? She said, right there where the kayakers are. And I said, well, tell them to get out of the way. I couldn't see the buoys. So, and then again, I got up. I said, where are they? They're right there. Okay. So finally I realized, well, the kayakers are just congregating around the buoys. So, which is really odd. So I just kept swimming towards them. I knew the direction I was going. I'd seen the swim exit the day before. So, but I had to keep stopping to check, and I was kind of annoyed, to be honest. I was just annoyed, and I didn't realize how bad my swim was. So I got out. I'm like, holy crap, Jesus! I'm lucky I made it out. I mean, I had time to spare, but I really wasn't happy with that swim.
Now you get out of the swim and you get to T1. Walk me through T1 for you.
What?
Walk me through T1 for you.
It was smooth, really smooth. Ran through the chute, saw my family, and they were all concerned because they didn't know why I was in the water so long. Like my daughter thought something happened out there. I'm like, don't worry about it. So run into the tent, grab my stuff. It was so smooth. Grab my stuff. Did a quick change. While I was changing, I ate a Cliff Bar. Ate a whole Cliff Bar. I was just trying to stuff it down my throat, get something in my stomach. I ate that, and I had some drink that I had in my bag while I was dressing. So it was pretty smooth, in and out within, I think, 10 minutes and change. It wasn't bad. That was pretty smooth. Get out, get on the bike, and that was it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's go. Let's get on these hills. And those hills were exciting.
So what was your strategy for this bike ride? Did you have a power, heart rate, cadence, or RPE level you wanted to use for the entire bike ride? What did it look like?
Well, what did my coach had me? She wanted me to keep it like a certain wattage, like around 180, 220 average. Yes, I have a power meter. Yes, yeah. Yeah, I know that much. So she wanted me to keep it at a certain wattage. And I knew I had driven the course the day before with a friend. So I had, become familiar with, the uphill, downhills, and where to pick up. And my biggest problem, I've become a really good climber from training in the hills, but my biggest fear from the bike accident was the downhills. So what I noticed was, even though I was cool going up hills, I was actually passing some people that, was struggling. They flew past me on the downhill because I was feathering, because I was afraid. I knew some of those hills you could take at 60 miles per hour, and I wasn't about to do that. So I was pretty cautious, I think, on a lot of the hills. Towards the second loop, because it is a double loop, the second loop, I was a little more, I'm like, okay, I've done this before, and, I know I can do it. I was a little more, I just let myself go a little more the second loop, and I really wanted to get it done at that point as well.
Now, with the going on the road here, what was this like for you?
The road was fabulous. It was amazing. It was smooth. It was beautiful. Listen, New York, we have potholes. It's insane. So no potholes. It was just so smooth and beautiful. They closed off one side of the highway, 117 North. They closed that off one side. So it was just, coming and going both ways, just for the bikers. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. It's a double loop. The back end of the loop, though, is a beast. It's really a beast. It's a lot of mini rollers, and it's pretty tough, the back end. That was probably the hardest part. The long climbers on the highway for me were easier than the mini climbers, I think, because, you get up one and it's a very short downhill to the next one, so, but the roads overall were beautiful. The course was beautiful. There was a lot of spectators in the back end of the loop, a lot, because it was in the village area. But the course was absolutely beautiful.
Now, for your power goal, what was your power numbers that you wanted to hit? Was this based on a 3-second or 5-second average? What power was this like?
Okay, that I don't know.
Okay, no big deal.
Honestly, no clue. That wasn't even a goal or discussion, so no, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay, no big deal at all. So the aid stations, how are the aid stations here on that course?
Oh, great. Fabulous. Yeah, they were absolutely great. They were all, there was only one stop. It was really funny, where, you go to grab the Gatorade and I go to drink and it's closed. And then I grab the water from the next person and it's closed. I'm like, okay, this is not, so I had to stop. I had to go grab it and put it in my water, my torpedo. But overall, they were great. They were really fabulous. Every single aid station was great. And not a problem. It was great. It was well stocked.
As far as the bike goes, is there anything you just want to be aware of that has done this bike course before?
Definitely, like I said, really learn how to train on hills. For me, like when I started training initially, on hills here, I don't know how many times I dropped chains. I had no idea. So shifting obviously is huge. Shifting properly, when to shift and how to shift. Exactly, I would be cranking up these hills, not really pushing it, it's just really efficiently training on hills. That's really what you need to do. And it's, That's really it. I mean, it's not a flat course.
Now, towards the later portion of the bike ride, I was 80, and maybe a little bit past 100.
Yeah.
How were you mentally? Were you in a dark ruts or a dark place there?
No, not at all. No. I wanted to just get it done. And I knew that the majority was done at that point, and I was just, and I had double loop. So I know I've done it. So I kept telling myself, you've done this once, you could do it again. Gonna be honest though with you, on the back end of the second loop, I knew there were 2 hills that were beasts, and I did the math in my head, and I'm like, I'm probably going to walk those hills. And I did. I ended up walking them. And, you know, I knew I had the time. And I'm like, well, the problem was when I did the first loop, when I did that back end the first time, my adductors, inner thighs were on fire. And I thought to myself, if I do it again in the second loop, then it might burn me out for the run. I really am thinking about the run at this point. And I'm like, okay, so I can lose like a couple of minutes and walk these hills and save my legs, or try it and trash my legs. So that was my logic, to be honest. And I just walked those 2 hills. Was one going out towards the turnaround and one coming back. And I knew they were there. I got off, I walked, and I wasn't alone. I was not alone. I mean, at least 5, 6 other people with me walking up those hills at that point. We were all just like done at that point. I mean, up the hills, you know. But once we got that second one that I walked, I got back on the bike. I'm like, that's it, take it home. I knew at that point, you know, there were rollers, but nothing like those 2. So I was totally fine with that. You know, when you put it all these hills into perspective, it's pretty interesting. So, yeah.
Did you see why they have style bike course or mechanical issues?
A lot. Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah. A lot of people, yeah. And,
for these good quality roads, people have flats?
Yeah. I was really surprised. Yeah, there were a good amount of people. Yeah. And they had support out there as well. They had a support vehicle that came out. They had different tires on it as well. But yeah, that was my biggest fear. That's always my biggest fear, is any mechanical issues, anything. I mean, I know how to change a lot, but you know, anything else like dropping a chain and the chain gets caught and twisted, you know, I mean, it's my biggest fear, you know, anything. Because to me, that's the biggest uncontrollable thing. You can't control anything that happens on the bike. But yeah, there were quite a number of flats out there. No, I've heard of one, but I didn't see it. I heard there was a pretty bad one. The guy ended up going to the hospital, but I didn't see it.
Okay. Now, the last mile or 2 of the bike ride, are you anything that prepares for running?
No, not at this point. I think I might have taken like a gel or something, but no, at that point I had hydrated enough. I had enough nutrition. I had peanut butter and jelly. I had banana. And you're not going to overdo it for the run because you don't want that jostling around your stomach. So, and I know myself, you know, on the run, I know that I'm not going to have too much in my stomach, too much liquid, too much food. No, I just, you know, I was just mentally preparing to get off that bike, do a quick change and go. That was it. Smooth. Drop off my bike, run in the tent, change into my running clothes, you know, everything's ready to go. That's it. And then run out. And it was smooth. I think, you know, every transition went smoothly for me. I had everything prepared exactly as I needed it. Everything I needed, sunblock in T1, because, you know, you need it for out in the road. You know, I had, the chafing stuff for T2. I mean, I had everything in every bag ready to go. There was and extras, because, you know, you get it back. It's not a big deal. So transitions were smooth, really smooth. I had no problem.
Now, whenever you got to the run, how did the first few miles of the run go for you?
Well, you know, your legs feel like lead. At first, you know, you're like, you know they're there. They're attached to your body, and you're trying to get them to cooperate. But it was only maybe for a mile that I felt that, because I really was just happy to be on my feet. I was just happy. I saw my family, and I was just, you know, I'm like, okay, I'll see you guys in a couple hours. You know, I just pretty much knew that at that point I was going to finish it. You know, and I felt strong. I felt really strong. And the run was just, it was the best part for me, of course. Not a surprise.
Right. Whenever you start getting towards the middle portion of the run, are you feeling pretty good? Did you have any cramping, GI issues, any pain anywhere? You mentioned your adductors were
No, not at all. Not at all. Nothing. Absolutely. I had zero pain, zero aches. I had nothing on the run. I just was like on a cloud. I felt totally fine. I really did. I think at one point I drank Red Bull and kind of upset my stomach. I'm like, well, I don't drink too much of that, but I ended up drinking some more, but I was fine. But, I don't really normally have stomach issues. As long as I prepare as I did, I was fine, and I knew what I had eaten and drank. I was fine with on the bike. So, and the one big thing my coach had told me over and over again was make sure you hydrate on that bike. Make sure you hydrate on that bike because you're going to crash and burn on the run, and I just kept remembering that. I just kept drinking and drinking, and that was the best advice. Twice. Yeah. Yeah. And then again on the run several times. So yeah, definitely probably more on the run because at that point I had all the fluids in my body. So yeah, definitely.
As far as the run goes, from I'll say 11 to 15, how's your mindset? Okay?
Yeah. We started the hour late, so it was later. So my first half of the run, again, that's a double loop. First half, I watched the sunset, and I was just, as it's going over the lake, I'm just soaking it in. I'm like, this is so beautiful. I'm just mentally just taking visuals, when am I going to do this again, if ever, So I'm taking visuals and, I felt great. I came around to special needs about mile 13, grabbed my Swedish fish and my Oreos, and it started to get dark. The only problem was the second loop was that, and I had asked this in the Facebook on the Facebook page if we need headlamps, and everyone said, no, you don't need headlamps as well. Well, you need a headlamp because it's in the trail, and there are lamps there, but some of the trail is pitch black, where like I basically had to stop and walk and try to follow the white lines in the middle of the trail because I couldn't see. It was pitch black. So this was the second half of the run because you go out into this trail portion and back. So this was probably miles 18 to like 22. Yeah. Pitch black, and some of these it would be pitch black, and then there would be the lights, and there would be pitch black and the lights, and it was like it wasn't like all. It was one or none. So some people had headlamps. They knew. I wish I had known. I wouldn't want a headlamp. But I mean, it wasn't bad. I was just afraid of coming off the trail and stepping off the trail and getting hurt. But it wasn't. I just walk those spots, but it was just dark, and I wondered if we had started an hour earlier on time, like how much more light I would have had, would have been easier. But, my thinking is that it shouldn't be that dark anyway. There's going to be some people running in the dark, it shouldn't be that, it should be well lit. But, that's probably the only thing. There was a lot of support on the run, a lot of support. Plenty of aid stations, plenty of porta potties, plenty of spectators. You were never alone. When I came out of the water, and this still sticks in my head, and it's probably not funny to anyone else but me because I've got that kind of sense of humor. When I came off the bike and I finally get up one of the very first hills coming out of the village, probably like the third mile, and there's a huge sign that says, "Yay, you didn't drown." For me, I just burst out laughing. I'm like, well, thank God for that, I guess, So I think that was it, and I think, believe it or not, no one understands it. There was some camaraderie, talking to other people, whether on the bike or even on the run. I thought that was great. We were all in it together, and so yeah, I think that was probably the funniest thing. I probably didn't really absorb much else, but that for some reason has stuck in my mind since. You know what? It's interesting is, it was. And because people started walking, like I'm trying to run past people and they're walking and I'm like, oh, and then there's a few hills going back into the village. So, some of those people are walking and I'm like, don't walk this hill, don't walk this hill. I'm talking myself out of it, and just keep saying until you're running up that hill. I think, it was also, this is a double loop. When the first time you go through the village, you go through the cobblestone pathways and there's everybody else cheering you. It's amazing. So it really pumps you up. So I knew that coming back into the village, I was going to come back for that. And you hear Mike Riley, you hear him, saying, Tom Jones, you are an Ironman. And I'm like, Mike, you're going to call me an Ironman soon. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, just trying to psych myself up. And then the last mile, I got emotional and I thought, stop. Think about how you got here, what it took for you to get here. Think about the early morning swims. Think about the early morning bike rides and the accident and how it all worked out. And think about, the support of your family and friends, and that carried me till I got to that very last cobblestone pathway. And when I barreled down and that was the moment I said, now just finally soak it in, because I didn't soak a whole lot in. And I just looked at everyone, and in my video, you could see me just wow. It was just wow. And just coming through that chute, I was it's just, so yeah, I normally hate double loops like that, but in this instance, I love that I knew what was coming. And that's huge, that I knew it was coming, and that motivated me to get to that finish.
How would you describe the finish line for your first Ironman?
Oh man, that was spectacular. It was spectacular. It was just amazing. Just, the whole stage and the stadium seats and everyone cheering you. And it was just spectacular. It really was. It was just not what I imagined. All the finish lines that I had visualized, it wasn't the one that I visualized. It was better. It was just better. It was amazing.
Wow. So after you crossed the finish line, what did you do next?
What did I do next?
Yeah.
That moment? I was fortunate that a good friend of mine was there. My friend Lisa was there, and she congratulated me and gave me my medal. She was at the finish line. And I was grateful to see her, and I just wanted to see my family. I think I might have been a little kind of out of body again. So my family really quick, and it went back to wait for my friend Wendy to finish. My friend Wendy was still out there. I ran past her on the run. So she was still out there, and went back I said to my family, we have to go back. I want to see Wendy finish. And they're like, okay. I'm like, yeah, I just want to see her finish. I was so excited. I didn't really want to celebrate my finish until she finished. And we went back to the seats, and, saw her come in, and we're tracking her, and she came in, and that's when, I went to see her, and that's when I'm like, okay, now we can celebrate. Now we can celebrate. We're both in. We both got our poutine, beer. They had poutine at the finish, which is great. Yeah. And in the tent, we connected with friends who had, Long Island athletes that have run and completed it. And, some unfortunately injured and hurting, and, some completing their first and, over the moon as well. But nonetheless, it was great to see everybody again and just celebrate.
Wow. So what's the thing you learned from this race that you want to pass on to someone who hasn't done this race before?
Well, it's my only Ironman, so I can't really specifically talk about this race. I mean, with technical wise, or what do you mean exactly? Experience? I would say just try to enjoy it a little bit more. Try to absorb it a little bit more. Appreciate. I mean, I appreciate every bit of it, of course. But I really wish that I had absorbed more. I wish I had bought a shitload of stuff at the expo, because I was scared. I didn't buy anything. So now there's nothing to buy. But I was afraid because, I didn't want to jinx myself, I just enjoy the whole experience, You work so hard to get there. Don't doubt yourself. Don't second guess yourself, and it's easy to say. It really is easy to say, but, it's hard to really be in the moment and think that way, but, just be grateful for all the support, that you have, always be grateful for that. I think I was very prepared. I think I was prepared. In hindsight, I look at, what I could do to improve it now, but I feel that I was for first time Ironman, I feel I was well prepared. I really do. Could have used some more, swim work, obviously. But overall, I feel like in general, I was very well prepared mentally and physically. Even after the accident, I was pretty prepared, I think. Yeah.
So how can Ironman have made your racing experience even better?
Lights on the trail. No kayakers by the buoys. It's not up to them. It's not up to them. Overall, it was a great experience, great venue. It's not up to them. It's up to me if I want to make it better. They put on a top-notch race. They really did. It was, it was great. I have nothing to say. Really, it was great. If you finish the Ironman, absolutely go. Did I lose you? Absolutely stay for the last finisher, because that is the highlight. That is the absolute highlight. We stayed until the very last finisher came in, and that was spectacular. That was awesome. And it doesn't matter whether you finish in 9 hours or 17 hours. It's still amazing to watch and to celebrate. So that's the best part, staying for the last finisher.
So, how complicated was this race for you to go to? Maybe coming from Long Island and going all the way up there. Was it complicated for you at all?
Yeah, it was a long drive. It was a solid 10-hour drive. It was a long drive, long drive. Going way, you stay in New York the whole time. Go all the way up north in New York and then cross the border into Canada. So it's a long drive, exhausting drive. On the way back, we actually drove to Montreal and stayed there for 4 days. So we didn't have to drive back the next day because I knew the drive back would just be too hard, cramping up, sitting in the car for hours. So that was nice that we stayed in Montreal for the next 4 days after that to just kind of just sightsee. And I walked. For me, recovery is walking, and I walked everywhere in Montreal, and that's my recovery, and that's how I feel better. As sore as I am, I know that's what helps me, and that's what I did.
Well, we covered a lot about your runs. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, that's pretty much it. Just that's pretty much it. You just got to work hard for it. Like I said, my coach had told me at the beginning, you're going to have to work. And I said, I'm aware. I'm fully aware. And, it's a lot of work, but it's so rewarding. It really is. The reward is in knowing what you're capable of, and pushing your body and knowing what you're capable of, when you don't want to, when, days you want to quit, days you don't want to do it, but, like I said, it doesn't get easier. You just get stronger, and that's the reward. So I'm running my 49th marathon in 4 weeks. 49th. And then I'm running my 50th marathon, New York City Marathon, November 3rd. So, 50. And I'm going to go out big this year. I'm going to run a 60K. Yes. So, that's how the year is going to end out for me. And then I should take a break, huh? Take a little break.
Yeah, because I know I've been talking to you for, almost since I started running.
Right.
But you started with this goal a long time ago. I'm going to 50 before 50.
Yeah. Well, it was 50 by 50, but I'm 48, so I'm ahead of that. So someone said, you should do 55 by 50. I'm like, maybe I'll do that. Or 60 by 50. That's possible. But yeah, so 50 before 50 is happening this year. Yeah.
And you started when you were how old?
I only started when I was 34. And I did 1 marathon a year, 2 marathons a year, and my biggest year, last year, the year before, I did 10 marathons. So, and that's a lot. And, you have to be, as you know, you have to be very smart, very wise with your body, because that can be dangerous. I know that. But, I didn't race 10 marathons a year, I just, a lot of them were just for fun. I had great company. I have great friends that run, and,
You made experiences and enjoyed the time with the people you did it with.
Destination races with friends to New Orleans, to run a marathon and have fun, or to Arizona, and I have great friends that, love doing the same. So we're all very lucky, we all support each other. And I have some, amazing friends that have supported me on this journey, and, I'm very lucky, very lucky.
So, being in this sport for so long, what races are still in your bucket list?
Yes. So next year, I am running the Rome Marathon.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. Destinations. My first destination marathon. Well, if you don't consider Canada. So yeah, Rome Marathon. And that's so far for next year. I didn't plan. I'm a huge planner. I normally by this time I would have my whole next year plan, but I really was just focusing on Ironman. I didn't want to set any goals until I completed this goal. So Rome for sure. Eventually, maybe 2020, the Great Wall of China is on my bucket list. And maybe another Ironman 2020, but not anytime soon. My husband's like, no. he's like, you went so well. Why do it again? I'm like, well, because now I know what to do, what to improve on. So maybe 2020. But so far, that's it. If you can believe it. Next year's a quiet year.
So I have two more questions for you, and that's one thing. How can athletes follow you?
On Instagram, I guess I'm Runna Fran, RUNNA Fran on Instagram, or even on Facebook. That's it.
Okay, cool. So, Fran, just to wrap up, I always ask the same question, and that's, what's your definition of a perfect race?
Wow. That's a good one. A perfect race. Well, the obvious is that everything goes as planned, obviously. But you said you enjoy it, because my goal was to enjoy my Tremblant, and I finally did enjoy it. I mean, throughout, the whole thing, I actually did enjoy it. And just enjoy that finish line. Just enjoy it. Just to enjoy. If you're not having fun, then why do it? That's with everything in general, whether it's marathons or Ironmans. That's it.
Nice. Well, Fran, thank you so much for coming on the show, talking with me for a while. I mean, hearing about your experience with your first Ironman. Congrats, and welcome to the community of Ironman. It's awesome.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have a good day. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you were able to learn something from today's episode. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to leave a review on iTunes or share it with a friend. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to see pictures from this athlete's race, learn more about who I am, what I'm doing, or be on the show yourself to share your story, check out my website at CoachTerryWilson.com. Until next time, continue the pursuit.